So the purpose of today is not for me to like shake you up with all this doom and gloom, but it is to have meaningful conversations where you do have a conversation and you say, this is not working out for me. Every time I come over and your house is a total mess, I feel like I'm a failure, either as a parent or as a child. I feel that I love you enough that I don't want you living like this because it's a health hazard or it's a danger, or I feel like I'm helpless when I come to your house, right? What happens if a family member comes to us and says that? If a family member came to us and said, I want to have a really vulnerable conversation with you, and I'm afraid that I'm going to hurt your feelings, but I'm willing to risk hurting your feelings in order to have a truthful conversation. Would you be willing to have a truthful conversation with me back? And literally put down the phones. You might even meet somewhere where there's no distractions. And I don't mean at a bar where there's a TV and they can like be watching the whole time. I mean, just one-on-one. Meet in a park at a picnic bench when there are no distractions, or go for a walk around the block and just have an honest to goodness conversation. Can I tell you how important you are to me? And let that be enough. Can I tell you how important you are? And you don't have to judge me about my stuff, or I don't have to judge you about your stuff. Can we just put the stuff on the back burner for a minute and let's rebuild our relationship? One of the hardest things that I ever did was a conversation that I had with my mom. I was 22 years old. But what happened was I was kind of a teenager of I wasn't bad. I didn't get in a lot of trouble or anything. And I was always respectful to my mom, but I didn't really like my mom. I loved her, but I didn't like her. And I hate to say that because, I mean, she was my mom, right? She's just this woman with a heart of gold. But the entire time that I knew her growing up, she was pregnant. And I'm one of 19 kids, and I'm the fourth to the oldest. So after me, there were 15 younger kids. So the 15 pregnancies played havoc to her emotions and her hormones. And I'll be honest, she did not do pregnancies very well. She was kind of just like, "Meow." And I was like, whoa, right? And I didn't like that at all. It made me really uncomfortable. And I just felt like, I'm never going to get along with this woman. And I got out of the house as soon as I could. I moved clear across the country. I was just like, we're not doing this. This is just not right. I was 22 years old and she came to see me. And we met at a rest stop on the highway. And we sat down at a picnic bench, complete from distractions. And she said, is there any chance that we can start over again? Any chance? And I said, well, yeah, but you don't like this, 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 and this. And she listened to me while I just kind of like spouted off a whole bunch of things that I thought were wrong with the relationship. And she said, okay, now I know where you're coming from. And I'm willing to change all of those things. What are you willing to change? And I was like, well, I don't know. And she said, let me tell you my list. Okay. So she told me her list. I don't like this, 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 and this. And I was like, okay. And she said, is there any chance we could hit the reset button and we could start over again? Because I think you're a valuable person. And I said, well, you're my mom. I think you're a valuable person too. I just don't know how to live in your world. And she said, I don't know how to live in your world either. And we said, is it okay if we screw up while we're trying to make this relationship work? And she said, I'm okay with screwing up. I said, I am too. And she said, so I'm going to be honest with you. I don't have a lot of time. I'm a busy mom. I have 19 kids. I've got some grandkids. My life is really busy. And I really want a relationship with you. And you live 2,500 miles away. I don't know how to do that. And this is at the time when long distance phone calls were 65 cents a minute. And I said, I don't know how either, but I'll call you once a week. Let's plan right now. I will call you once a week. We will sit down and we will have a conversation once a week. And she said, what are the parameters of that call? And I said, what do you mean the parameters? And she said, is it okay if I'm like rocking the baby while I'm on the phone with you? And I said, let's make an agreement right now. And this goes back to, what is your plan B? What is your plan B in case the relationship doesn't work? What is the situation if you are not able to have the conversation that you wanted to have? This is the conversation that we had. We said, let's make it okay that while you're cleaning, while you're cooking, while you're doing whatever it is you want to do, we'll have that conversation while we're on the phone. While we're on the phone, I'm going to pick up my phone, you pick up your phone, and then we'll each do whatever it is we were going to do while we're on the phone. I can go walking, I can cook a meal, I can clean my house, I can do whatever, but mom's on the other end of the line. We'll talk as long as the conversation needs to be in an organic fashion. We're not going to make it an hour and then cut it off at an hour or whatever. We'll cut it off if she gets interrupted, or we'll talk for 2 hours if she has 2 hours and we still have stuff to say. There are no rules as long as we are both willing to reset, right? And so what happened was, and this is like 30 years ago, this is one of the coolest things that ever happened. Every week for like the last 30 years, I've had conversations with my mom, and we've switched the day a couple of times. It was Friday, it was a Tuesday, it's now on Monday, but there's a set time on my schedule every single week where I meet with my mom. And if I stopped calling her, if I didn't call her, if I forgot to call her, that breaks down the trust, right? The trust is she knows no matter what, no matter where, she's going to get a call from me. And thank goodness through FaceTime and through landlines. And now we have smartphones that it doesn't cost 65 cents a minute and all these things. No matter what, I'm going to contact her. And she can say, you know what, I can't talk today. Something came up. I'm so sorry. But at least she knows I tried, right? The consistency, when you show up every single time, every single time, every single time, you start building that trust. And the trust is where, once you have a two-way relationship with someone, you can say, hey, listen, this isn't working for me. And the person says, I know it's not working for me either. Can we hit the reset button? And you hit the reset button and you start over again. The reason I bring this up is because a lot of people that are in hoarding situations are in hoarding situations because something along the way tripped up in a relationship. There was some moment of, oh my goodness, it could have been the loss of a loved one. And then the family fought and there was bickering and whatever, and the person didn't feel like dealing with the stuff, so they hung on to it. Or it could be that people start shopping, compulsive shopping, because they got heartbroken from another situation, right? There are a whole bunch of different triggers, and I'm not here to share all the different triggers, and I'm not here to try to solve them all. But one of them comes down to trust. We can't have meaningful relationships with people in our life that want to help us, or if we are that person wanting to help a loved one who has hoarding issues, we can't help them unless we first repaired the relationship. The relationship is really important if we're going to build that trust back and forth, right?